Not your ass! You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up!
Good evening, friends. It's Friday, which means it's time once again for another enlightening episode of Hobbservations on Roads to Liberty, part of the Think Liberty Network. That's think-liberty.com for all of your freedom posting needs. Think-liberty.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on pretty much all of the apps. Just look for Think Liberty. You can also go to Roads, the number liberty.com, and pick up some of our sweet merchandise like, oh, I just got it yesterday. Oh, the classic, the awesome, beloved Boog Girl t-shirt. You only wish you could look this good. Well, good news. Now you can. Go to the roads.com and pick up your freedom swag today. Tonight's topic is a kind of a continuation of last week's show where Ben and I got into it a little bit. The topic of the Grayman. The Grayman is somebody who doesn't look out of place, somebody who looks like just your average, everyday Joe Schmo on the street, but he is packing heat. He is ready to rumble in the streets, as it were. And talking with us tonight is our good buddy Justin from Bearded Liberty. Justin, my friend, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great, guys. How are y'all tonight?
Awesome. And of course, up there on the top is producer Ben in the bunker. Ben, how are you?
Doing well. I thought I'd come back this week since I stirred up the shit last week.
Man, y'all's show last week was awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty good show. We had a lot of good interaction with some people, and hopefully we can continue that tonight. Hopefully some new listeners want to jump on in here and join the conversation. So anyways, like I said, we're going to be talking about the idea of Grayman versus the more now, one of the things that I've noticed as far as like the tactical gear versus your everyday civilian attire is that there seems to be a shift amongst a lot of tactical gear manufacturers into more of the Grayman space, while simultaneously I can go into Walmart and there are like your $12, kids book bags that are starting to get things like, Fastex buckles and Molly webbing and stuff. So we kind of are seeing this convergence of the tactical and the civilian market, and kind of more away from the tactical side of things is where the Grayman lives. So Ben is fully on board with the Grayman concept. So why don't you kick us off, Ben, and tell us what Grayman means to you and why you think it's preferable.
Well, and I didn't even know it was called Grayman. I was talking to you. See, I'm not a tactical nerd, actually. I don't, my time in the military was as a medic in the Guards, so I didn't have any hoorah shit. And I just came about to this by watching a lot of video of all the protests going on and of what was happening during those protests and outcomes from situations that happened in that. And I came to this conclusion on my own of how you would want to wear your gear and the practicality of wearing a whole bunch of tactical shit. And you and I think we were just having a chat on the Facebook Roads to Liberty chat group. And I'm telling you what I'm doing with my gear, and you're like, "Oh, you mean Grayman?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So then I went and started looking up all this Grayman stuff, and basically, when do you have any idea when that became? Has this always been around, or is it just something you only learn about once you realize that being tactical can get your cheeks clapped?
No, this has been around for a long damn time. It just is what it is. It started out a lot before everybody was out wearing their tactical gear in public. It started just, being a proponent for concealed carry instead of open carry. Open carry is not Grayman at all. Obviously, it makes you the the target. If something was to go on, you're the first one somebody's going to look at, and it's the same if you're wearing tactical gear at a rally. You are automatically pinned as a threat.
Yeah, I certainly didn't coin the term gray man. I heard it, probably 10 or 12 years ago. Gray man it's kind of like an old, tradecraft term for, I think like, the CIA guys, the deep cover guys, or, a detective working deep cover case or whatever. Gray man it's almost as much as of a mentality and how you carry yourself and your mannerism.
Yeah,
It is.
and Gray Man's not even like, so say we were going to a place we knew was going to be full of Antifa members. Gray Man is not trying to blend in and look like one of them. Gray Man is wearing colors, having a haircut, wearing footwear, having a posture that's not threatening, and you want to be so unnoticeable, like you don't want anything to stand out about you that anybody could say, oh, that was the guy in the red hat. You just want to wear bland colors, something that doesn't look tactical or even outdoorsy or sportsman-like. Just a plain colored hoodie and a pair of regular old jeans. You don't want to have combat boots or maritime Converse or anything like that. You just want to be as your white New Balance and a button-down shirt or something like that.
Dress like Hank Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Unironically dress like Hank Hill. Plain white tee, jeans, and like some work boots or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made the comment too last week that we kind of said the Boog is dead, and that made a lot of people mad. But as far as dressing that way, I think that should probably be dead.
Well, and on that topic, I've talked about that plenty. Speaking of the Boog being dead, the ones that got mad in the show last week are the exact reason why it is dead. I was kind of hoping they'd jump back in tonight. I had a few things to say.
Oof.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, those guys. Somebody sent in some links to their YouTube channels, and I'd like to get in contact with them, but that's like a completely different arm of the movement that I had no idea was even out there.
Well, they're not what it was originally based upon, and that has been lost sight of months and months ago. So when I kind of moved myself out of it, and I think went kind of, what do you call it, just Dustin Boog adjacent?
Yeah.
Well, what was that group, the Hibiscus Society or whatever? You ever heard of that one?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I think it's some of the old CNN boys. And a lot of these guys see the CNN boys as like when the Boog started, but it was way before that. That's just kind of when everybody started taking notice of it. It was after the Big Zuck that all these other guys started finding out, and they didn't have the chance to see some of the original groups.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. I think it's something that we talked about last week on how, ironically or perhaps intentionally, the Zuckening accomplished the exact opposite of what they claimed. They said they wanted to, stop the right-wing extremists and blah, blah, blah. But what they ended up doing was taking guys like you and us away from the conversation and allowed the shitheads to kind of fester in the dark as opposed to being talked down by more level heads.
Yeah.
Yep. Luke had a good comment over here. He said, Justin said, unfortunately, there's no way to empirically prove or disprove this statement that open carry makes you a target. Criminals don't exactly keep paper records on whether or not someone makes them a target or a deterrent.
Yeah, and that is, there's an equal, or just about an equal evidence that somebody open carrying is like, okay, shoot me first, but at the same time, somebody sees somebody open carrying, and it's like, you're on the draw than me. He can get his open carried pistol out of his holster faster than I can get my concealed carry out of mine, or my concealed handgun. So,
it's the thing I want to bring to that is that at this point in this conversation, and as far as we've gotten into this, we're not just talking about criminals now. We're talking about being gray man for the media, for the government, for the other side, for our own side, for just general public. We don't want to stand out anymore because you're seen as a threat now.
Yeah, and there's also something I'd kind of also like to delineate here is the title of the stream, of course, is Grayman for the Boog. However, with that being said, we kind of also have to draw the line between Grayman in normal day to day, like we're living right now, versus Grayman in a sort of Boog situation, but think similar to like the Irish Troubles of the last century, where things are hot but they're on a low simmer, and then they boil over really quick, and then they go back to a low simmer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and you talk about Grayman in every day. You can use that in your everyday life pretty easy.
Absolutely.
And people, they talk about carrying a bug out bag, but I mean, my theory is you should have on you a bug in bag. So wherever you're at, you can get back to your base of operation and go from there. I mean,
Correct.
Yeah, I call that a GHB. They got the BOB, which is the bug out bag, and then you have the GHB, which is the get home bag.
Right.
Mhm.
Which I carry one with me. It's just a one strap, a man purse. It's set up for concealed carry, but it's very bland. It's not a military color. It doesn't have Male all over it. And I have tasked my son, who is a guitar player now that's into the alternative rock from our younger days. I've tasked him with finding me some 9-inch nails and some Nirvana patches and stuff, and I'm just gonna put them on the bag, and it makes me just look like yeah, I'm cool. I'm a '90s kid. I still carry my bag. I probably got some pot in here, and yeah.
And that's the essence of Grayman. It's not necessarily being somebody who tries to necessarily blend in with your surroundings so much as it is somebody who's you don't even notice that they're there, or they don't register on your mind at all.
Correct. And I struggle with it because of the business I've been in for years, dealing with customers and stuff like that. And I carry myself with my shoulders up, and I have trouble with having a not aggressive, but just a proud posture. And that automatically is intimidating to a lot of people, just the way you carry yourself. And I have trouble with slouching my shoulders and maybe keeping my hands in my pockets or something.
Looking people in the eye, avoiding eye, because you look somebody in the eye, that's like an imprint of your face.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm real bad about head on a swivel, and I think sometimes I do it so much that it's obvious that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, Ben, you said it last week that when people talk to you, they and mention, or it comes up that you were in the Army, that most people were like, "Oh, I never would have guessed." And me, I'm the opposite way. People, aside from the way that I dress, obviously, most people can tell, because like Justin said, I walk really like upright and look people in the eye and head on a swivel, and stuff like that too. So it is about carrying yourself a certain way. There is a lot of time, and maybe it's because you were in the Guard and I was active duty, but it's just a certain way that you carry yourself. A lot of times people will say, that guy probably was in the military at some point.
Yeah, and and you like to wear military gear, and military gear, it's practical.
Yeah, very.
I mean, it looks cool and it's practical. I mean, to find a pack to use every day that doesn't look tactical and isn't military. I mean, you have to really work hard to do that.
Yeah, well,
I wear like 5'11" strike pants all the time. I wear them to work because they've got an articulated knee and they're stretched, right. They're comfortable, and
ripstop
when we train. And I've come into a habit of wearing those a lot, but I've caught myself here lately in the past month and a half, 2 months, of like telling Jessica, like, "Hey, babe, you want to pick me up some jeans while you're out?" Because I don't really like jeans. I just wear like range stuff all the time. So I've started wearing skinny leg jeans and stuff like that, and Converse shoes, and it makes me not stand out so much. But like I said, my posture still is. I've got to work on that.
Yeah, that's the same way I am too, man. It's like I have a bunch of camo pants and cargo pants. I literally do not own a pair of jeans right now.
Right.
I just don't. But however, one of the, I don't want to call it a benefit of the 21 years now that we've been fighting overseas in the Middle East, with the revolving door of people going into the military and coming out, is that a lot of the tactical fashion, as well as a just ginormous amount of military surplus, is out there on the secondhand market right now. So almost going out of your way and paying extra money for a non-tactical bag versus like a $20 military surplus assault pack that's having military surplus stuff on now a lot less provocative and noticeable than it used to be even like 5, 10, 15 years ago. So I remember
my tactical bag looks like a Russian surplus. I mean, I think I got a bunch of shit on it. I can pull the flap on it down, and it hides all the molly, and it just looks like some throwback hipster Russian backpack.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing, because a lot of this stuff it's tough, it's cheap, and it's also very easily configurable and modular in a lot of ways to make it your own.
Yeah, I'd love to find like a grain canvas, like flat pack that's got like brown leather straps on it, but I've not been able to find one that's in decent shape. But man, I'd love to have something like that, but none of them are set up the way you want them to be.
Well, if what I think Ben's talking about is the one that I think he's talking about, he'll pull it up here in just a second.
I've got a bunch of shit on it for camping, but it's from Kenai. Is that the one you're thinking of, Hobbs?
Yep, the Kenai Sarsana, I think it was.
Oh, cool.
So let me take everything that looks tactical-ish off of it. Not that I get tactical when I camp, but I have like a sleeping bag. I just have it ready to go. So I'm not sure how well you can see on here, but see this front flap comes all the way down.
Oh yeah.
And it's all the molly's hidden, but you can load it up to the top. And I've got mollies all around if you want to load it up with shit. But other than that, I mean, it looks just like a regular pack.
Heck
and
yeah.
It's got side compartments for weaponry and whatnot on it. So that's what you want to. I think that's what you want to. That's the main reason I picked it for a pack, is because it looks like something a hipster would have, and then you can just pull that flap down and it doesn't look tactical at all.
Yeah, it does look like a really nice bag, and you've had that for what, like 3 months now?
Yeah, I've taken it out a couple times. It looks pretty good.
Did you say that again closer to your mic?
I take it out a couple times and did some practice hikes with it and went several miles, and it works fine.
Like tough.
But you could have it urban easy.
Yeah.
If I just took all the shit out of it.
Online.
What's that?
Is that something that's readily available online, or is that something?
Yeah, can I Pro Gear?
Okay.
I'll throw a link up here.
Yeah, put the link up, because I'll probably snag one this week. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, pop up in some of the ads that I see on Facebook and Instagram when I'm going on my my gear queer sojourns through the interwebs is a company called Victos, and they've got this little sling bag that looks like it's a little bit bigger than a typical fanny pack, but it's not quite as big as like a dedicated sling bag. And looking at that, you could fit a full-size pistol and maybe like a small first aid kit and maybe like some snackies inside of it. Yeah. And it comes in like OD green and black and multicam black, and I think coyote brown and maybe regular multicam too. But like a black or even an olive drab would be something that would probably not stick out so much, and it doesn't have any.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. I had to get the olive drab. I can't resist
yeah.
OD.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab mine real quick. I've got mine right out here. So
But that
real quick.
Kanai Pro Gear, a lot of their stuff, it also comes in like blues and greens, so that if you really want to blend in with it, it's easy to do.
Yeah, but
You know,
with a pack style like that, the fact that it's kind of purposely looks like an old like Soviet surplus pack, the OD would
Right.
probably be the conspicuous, ironically enough.
yeah, I mean, it does. It looks just like military surplus. And the nice thing having all those mollies around the outside of your pack is you can quickly go from running around to loading it up with what you need. Like before I brought it up, I had some AFAX on it and some all-in-one bags on the outside of it.
Yeah. What's
Yeah, so
Justin?
Yeah, that's just what.
One
what
I'm
you got
running
there?
right here.
Yeah, that's a messenger bag.
Yeah, and it's got the quick pull here, and your pistol goes in here. It's all Velcro. I keep a couple mags Velcroed to it, and then on the inside is just full medical.
Nice.
That's a pretty big medical bag. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
It's definitely got a little bit of everything. It's got about 2 of everything.
Oh, somebody said, "Ooh, snackies over here." I will let you know. Kanai Pro Gear does rate their backpacks in the amount of chicken tendies that they hold.
yes.
I can get 2 40-piece nuggets in mine.
Yeah, I think the Ben's pack they rated it for something like 582 nuggets or something.
Yep. Yeah. Wasn't there some guy that died from eating like 100 and something chicken nuggets from McDonald's?
Shit, I think so. I had to get a 10-pack to eat on the road because I traveled yesterday and I felt like shit the next day. I don't think there's even meat in those.
I don't think so either. But I had a 10-piece chicken nuggies last night, and usually when I sit down for nuggets, I skip the fries and I just go all nuggets. And I can eat like 40 at a stretch. But I'm a disgusting slob.
I'm traveling tomorrow. My company is having a range day, but we're based out of a different city, and we got a lot of boomers down there. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a shooting competition tomorrow." And I'm like, "I am so game for this."
You need to play it up, hustle them, get some bets
And
going.
we're gonna be doing skeet shooting too, and I'm taking my VR80 with me. I think I may throw the EOTech on it before I go, just for the shit.
Maybe take it out after you make the bets.
Yeah.
Speaking of traveling, that was a point I was going to bring up. I hate to travel by plane anymore because we talk about the GHB bag.
Yeah.
If you travel by plane, you're just fucked if anything happens and you're away from your.
Man. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. If you're leaving your area of operations without a weapon, and something happens while you're gone,
Have you seen the Sharpie markers with the G10 insert? So
yeah, I think so.
It's a Sharpie, but the felt for the tip is about 3 times as long, and it's super sharp, and it's made out of G10. But if you were to take the lid off, it looks just like a Sharpie, and they're pretty sweet for not being able to carry. Nothing metal, but still usable as a weapon.
Yeah, because you can't even carry a knife or anything on a plane anymore. So
not even nail clippers. I about got freaking TSA up my ass last time we flew because I had a pair of nail clippers in my suitcase that I was carrying on.
I mean, look at the situation in Texas. I mean, that's just that's almost bad enough that people were going to have to start bugging out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it's still going to shit down
nail
there.
Clippers from me. I was like, guys, if y'all take those from me, by the time I get back on this plane to come home, my toenails are going to be more of a weapon than what these nail clippers are.
You get those old man toenails. I think once you get over 30, somehow titanium starts working its way into your toenails.
Yep.
Yeah, they go.
But yeah, the situation in Texas. I mean, that's a good example of how things could go sideways real quick, and you could have no control over it.
Yeah, especially the fact sort of thing is like a once in a century thing, and literally nobody was prepared for any of it. You know, you had a few lucky people that were running off of like a. But if you were in a place like Austin or Dallas or whatever, you're fucked.
Yeah, and everybody was giving Texans shit about it, that they didn't plan for it. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's got to be some guys down there that had generators ready to go. Or
yeah,
is that just a northern thing, that if you're in Texas, you just don't worry about having issues if your power goes out?
I don't know, man. I mean, you got like, you know, paranoid people like Alex Jones was obviously set up for the end of the world.
And he didn't even have a generator. His studio went down.
Oh, he had a generator. He just didn't want to run it because it would have been way too expensive for diesel fuel to run the whole place. He's still on like 50% manning now. He's back up, but yeah, it's kind of crazy down there. And you know what? I've got so many fucking smug ass Californians in my friends list popping up, being like, "Oh, we're not so awesome now, Texas, with your independent power grid system." It's like, shut up, California. Your power goes down every summer, and you know it's going to get hot every year. This happens once every 100 years.
Yeah, and now the snow doesn't melt.
Well, and they say this polar vortex shit happens once every 100 years, but it's happened like every winter for the last 3. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, but it usually doesn't get down that far south.
I want to say, like, on the topic of Grayman, I think it's pretty sad and disappointing that we even have to have this conversation not pertaining to criminals.
Right?
To just being noticed by the average person and being red flagged or seen as a domestic tourist.
Yeah, that right there, I think, is something that I wanted to bring up, but I didn't exactly know how to fit it in.
Justin just breaches it though, so we might as well go there.
Yeah, it's like if this coronavirus mask Karen hysteria is any indicator of where this country and our society is headed, the idea of how I used to be a year ago or 2 years ago with my fucking, you know, camo pants and my open carried 45 walking around, you know, I always used to say that I open carry because I wanted to be noticed doing it so that I could stand upright, look people in the eye, smile, please, thank you, be courteous and everything, because the way I considered it was that I was an ambassador for the Second Amendment, and it was so what I was doing was sort of, you know, dispelling this media narrative that gun owners are like mean, racist vigilantes just looking for a reason. Now I get the feeling that if I were to go out and open carry and be conspicuous with it, that I run the risk of one of these unhinged weirdos calling the cops on me and the cops getting trigger happy because everybody is on edge now. Yeah.
Well, and if you look, like, go back to last January, the rally in Virginia, the only person that was arrested for wearing a mask in public. Now it's become normalized to wear a mask, and it's getting to the point that the scarier the mask that you wear, the cooler you are now. So that's being normalized, and body armor and plate carriers are hard to come by now. That means the average American is starting to buy those. So that's going to become normalized when people start wearing those out in public also. So Grayman's going to take a new level once all these things become normalized, because you can wear a mask now. People can't see your facial expressions. So that is a good thing for being gray, is being able to cover your face. I can cover my beard and my facial movements, and maybe I don't seem so intimidating. I'm not saying I'm intimidating because I have a beard, but I do get that comment a lot, like, man, your beard's scary. It's like, my beard is scary? Like, what are you talking about? You should see what's in my pants. my appendix. That's what I'm talking about. No.
I mean, yeah, the mask thing, that's probably a good thing as far as that it's being normalized, because it goes both ways, though. You know,
well, I love
it's for both sides.
Confrontation, especially because like I said, I deal with customers all the time, and there's a lot of customers that I don't want to see, and they don't want to see me. But I feel a lot more comfortable going into their house and having the COVID excuse to wear a mask because they can't see how I'm reacting to what they're saying. So you can definitely handle a situation without somebody being able to read you with a mask on a lot better.
Well, and something else with mask, and I like to analyze stuff. Looking at how, and maybe this will cue into another topic, when they stormed the Capitol, how they tracked a lot of those people down. They would like look at, they went to all the hotels in the area and looked at what people were wearing when they came out of the hotels, and then they matched them up to people at the protest.
Yeah.
So we talked about wearing nondescript stuff. That's an easy one right there. Don't wear anything with a logo on it. Maybe even have 2 or 3 cheap sweatshirt, or one, 2 or 3 cheap sweatshirts in your pack, and and you can swap out if you have to.
Yeah. Well, multicam was popular, and then flannel became popular. I'm waiting to start wearing, like, what is it, Burberry or whatever, that thatch pattern. Like, I want to wear like a shamag made out of that, like scarf.
Yeah, they use any little thing that stands out to try and track people down. So wearing is generic. I guess go to your local Walmart and get some stuff out, because it seems like there's always 50 people wearing the same thing when it comes to Walmart.
Yeah. Or just wear a standard blue, like, disposable mask.
Yeah.
Man. It kind of also goes into what we talked about when we talked to John McAfee all those months ago. He's like, there is no
leave your damn phone at home.
Yeah, there's that first and foremost. But he said that there is no such thing as privacy in our world anymore. And we can take a look at, like what you said, where they were, if everybody has their face masked up and they can't get facial ID, well, they'll match you to any descriptive clothing. I read an article last year saying that China is developing algorithms to identify people by their gait, how they walk. And then there's also the fact that even if you are wearing nondescript clothing, changing up how you walk, have a change of clothes, cover your face, you're doing everything right, leave a paper trail is what is probably nailing a lot of these Capitol Hill protesters, because a lot of them came from out of town and a hotel room or an Airbnb or whatever, and now Bank of America, without being subpoenaed by the government, voluntarily turned purchaser identities over to the government for matching with out-of-towners to try and get people nailed.
Yeah, hotels within 100 miles of DC, I think. Yep. And my fix for the gate is just like, you wear a different size butt plug every day of the week, and I promise your gate will be different.
No, it's the Monty Python fixed this 40 years ago with the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Yeah.
Well, and this information isn't just used for anti-government stuff. Any protest is going to have some wackadoodle leftist trying to identify everybody there, so they can either dox them or go harass them at their house or whatever. So if you're doing anything where you're not worried about the government harassing you, if you're doing something that's going to piss off leftists, you should probably implement the same strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost getting to the point where woke corporations and Twitter dox mobs are more of a threat to the freedom movement than the government, which is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. If you work for any sort of corporation, you should utilize these strategies if you're going to protest. Because you'll get fired the next day if they dox you and tell, all they got to do is send 200 emails to your employer saying a Nazi or something. Who knows?
Shit happened to me. Antifa tried to get me fired, which was hilarious.
Luke was talking about using cash to pay. I've operated on cash for many, many years. I've had businesses and everything, and I still don't have a bank account. And that doesn't mean that I'm not mature. I've just decided 10 years ago that I didn't want to keep my money in the bank. It's a hassle a lot of times, but I deal with cash more than I deal with card. I put enough on my card to pay my bills. Um, I figured out a way to work the system. My paycheck goes on my card. I go straight to the ATM that's got two ATMs side by side, and I run my card in both of them simultaneously when I type my stuff in, and I can take out double the withdrawal thing because it doesn't register them quick enough. And I pull all my money off my card and leave enough for my bills on there. So my money's on my card for about an hour after I get it.
So what's Luke getting at there? Even paying cash leaves a trail now. Is it because so few people do it that it's easy to narrow somebody down? Is that what he's insinuating?
I guess it probably stands
Yeah.
out to certain retailers.
Yeah, it's like I would imagine that if you're on video camera paying with cash, that even if you're masked up or whatever, they could probably like extrapolate that hey, the guy paying with cash is the same guy that is he needed a hotel room, but we don't have a electronic payment record, but here's this guy paying with cash, so it's got to be him.
Yeah, and he just bought beer, so we're going to zoom in on his ID when he showed it to the cashier, and now we know who the fuck he is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, we're kind of bouncing around to a lot of different topics here. So kind of moving away from Grayman in a day-to-day sense and moving more into a low intensity conflict type situation, which I think that all three of us can agree is probably going to happen sooner rather than later, the way things are right now. I think that on both sides of the political spectrum, to kind of distill it down into a left and right, seems to be a massive misconception about what any type of violent conflict is going to be in this country. Talk to somebody who's a leftist, they seem to be of the mind that it's going to be like a bunch of bubbas in flannel clutching their AR-15s on one side of an open field across from the combined and unified might of the U.S. military. That seems to be how they think things are going to go down. Whereas on more on our side of things, or maybe not our side, but guys like me in my younger days probably tend to think of it as going to be something like a 24/7 running gun battle, Call of Duty style, where you're kitted up to the nines and it's just like cry havoc 24/7, just balls to the walls, and every day is a battle. And that is not true. As I've matured and as we've done this show with people who are more in the know, I've come to realize that, like I say on the show all the time, that it's going to be like the Northern Ireland Troubles, where you don't know what is going to happen, but when it happens, it's a lot very quickly, and then it dies down again. So I know me personally, I have invested a lot of money in my younger days in like the high-speed plate carrier and the level 4 plates and the camouflage and the combat pants and the the dropped and offset holster and awesome single point slings and night vision goggles and ballistic helmets and all the cool shit that gets the chicks wet on the gram. But as far as my Grayman stuff goes, I'm lacking.
Well, and you say Ireland, like take it back to the 1760s in Scotland, and your fight on the ground was between the Mackenzies and the McDougalls and the clans, but in reality, the one enemy was still the British. They didn't realize it yet, but they were fighting each other as countrymen. But then they finally realized that, hey, we've got to bring the clans together and we got to fight the British, and that's what we're headed for.
Yeah, I don't see the two sides uniting. I mean, I don't even see the
united. I think
what's
that was the downfall, because they didn't unite. But it's been said many times, both sides aren't far off for wanting the same thing. the far sides of the political spectrum. It's the average Americans that we talk about all the time that need to open their eyes. The left, those average Americans will never open their eyes. They're so stuck up CNN's ass. But now that Trump's out and we're falling away from Fox News and stuff like that, the right side is opening their eyes and not becoming more extreme, but just realizing what's been going on because they don't have a boomer in office to follow.
Well, and I don't think the feds will be the primary enemy if anything does happen. I just think it's going to be an incompetent structure just laying there. And, you know, I've said it before, your enemy is going to be the next county over, the next state over, whose water system failed or they don't have enough food or whatever. That's it if stuff really went sideways.
It's so hard for me. It's so hard in Tennessee for us to realize that because, you know, predominantly half of our state, you know, our neighbors are still on well water. Like we know someone in our immediate vicinity that's on well water or that is, you know, a diehard constitutionalist. And the same thing with the COVID restrictions and the same thing with a lot of things that have been going on. We just don't see it in Tennessee. And we don't even know how to look at it from the perspective that other guys are looking at it at.
Yeah, unfortunately, that really kind of solidifies Ben's point that, you know, it's not going to necessarily be the government troops or the feds
Right.
or the FBI or whatever. Huh? What? What's that?
Oh, nobody said anything.
Oh, I thought you said something. But yeah, it really solidifies Ben's point that, you know, that the feds probably aren't going to be the primary antagonists. You know, you say that where you're at, you know, your neighbors are, you know, pretty close knit and everybody knows everybody and, you know, people that are fairly self-sufficient. But it's the people outside that group. And it's like you said, you don't see what other people say they're seeing. Well, it's those other people that are going to be moving out. And you know what? Right before we went on air, I was talking to an old high school friend of mine who lives down in Omaha about how, you know, he's like, you know, the Antifa and the BLM aren't going to come and try and burn down the cornfields out there in Merritt County. And I said, yeah, not initially, but once the supplies and the food and everything runs out in the urban centers, then they're going to start branching out, and they're probably not going to make it to me out here in the sticks, you know, in my relatively small sized town. But if you live within, like, you know, 30, 40, 50 miles of an urban center like Lincoln or Omaha or Chattanooga or Albuquerque or whatever, you had best be on your guard or get the hell out of Dodge at the first sign of struggle.
Well, it's a domino effect. It's happened, I mean, in human history forever. If one group gets pushed out, they just they keep moving down the domino to the next area.
Yeah, it's like a roving plague of locusts.
Yeah, I mean, it happened with Genghis Khan. It's happened with Romans. I mean, the dominant power would push them out of the area and take their stuff, and that group's got to go somewhere. It just keeps working its way down. They either get sandwiched or they knock over the next domino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the area that I live in is predominantly white and Republican, and the area that my office is at is probably 90% African American and liberal as hell. And there's only one gas station that I can go to, and I guarantee you, I could walk in that gas station with a Trump hat on, and the girl behind the register would be like, "Honey, you are retarded for wearing that hat in here. But how is your day going, sweetie?" And I mean, just as nice as can be. You know, they've got different political views, but we still can have a good conversation and leave with saying thank you and yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. And that's how it works anywhere in Tennessee that I go. I mean, all the way from Knoxville to Chattanooga to Georgia. I mean, I'm down in Georgia a lot. And it's the same way. The media is really screwed the way people think. I mean, it's not as bad in some places as they make it out to be.
Well, and you talk about a rural versus urban thing. there's a reason people have moved into cities for all of human history. It's not because they liked having a neighbor. Sure, some cities are probably too big to survive if things fall apart, but there's other cities that are going to be entirely self-sufficient, and people move into those cities in the past, especially because they provided security, food, a water source. So you would see that again in a situation where the centralized government fell apart. We'd probably go back to a series of city states, and some would just crumble. Like there's no way New York City could survive without a support system. I just don't see it.
No.
But some of your minor cities that are on, like, Nashville is probably a good example in your area. I could see that being fairly self-sufficient. They're along a water source. They could probably draw in from a large area. There's a lot of natural resources there.
Yeah.
But probably you're looking at a lot of your mid-range cities are the one that will prosper, and your big ones and your little ones will get, roving bands or just fall apart.
Yeah, Knoxville's pretty well set up. We're surrounded by water. We're surrounded by mountains. We're surrounded by farmland. I mean, I can drive. I'm dead in the middle of a city that has more money per capita than Beverly Hills, California has. And in 5 minutes, I can be on a back road that you would think you were in the middle of nowhere. And then 5 minutes from there, I can be out in the middle of the lake at a dam. I mean, it's just like, Knoxville's a really good setup for what is coming.
But your places like LA, Las Vegas, somebody upstream from them is going to decide that they don't want to send water there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're done at that. They're done at that point.
Yeah, exactly. The idea of these regional or city-state sort of power bases springing up, mid-sized cities like Knoxville or Omaha, maybe places like that have enough area around them with the resources needed to support a mid-sized population center, probably going to do pretty well. Whereas, like you say, LA, New York, that basically have to be subsidized for all of their necessities of life from an area that's too big to secure, with people willing to secure it, is going to fall apart and fall prey to that sort of like roving bands of raider mentality. It's gonna be
that's who you have to worry about, not the federal government. It'd be the United Republic of New York City or whatever.
Well, I feel like they're going to destroy themselves from in. They'll kill each other off before there's enough of them to take a stand against a small town.
Mm. Plus, a lot of these people are so codependent on the system as it stands right now that if things fell apart to the point where everything wasn't almost life in a big city like that, it almost seems like it's semi-automated, where wake up, go to the subway station, everything just runs just in time. When that falls apart, I have a feeling that people that are basically living on top of each other in these high-rise apartments or jam-packed in these cities, but they have no idea who it is that lives next door.
Yeah.
They don't have the type of cohesion necessary to make anything other than a cutthroat society.
Yeah.
Well, and as a municipal official, what I've noticed is, a city is basically an organism, and people within a city are basically a commodity. A city requires them to function and to prosper. And these cities like, LA, New York, they have millions of people, and people say that, all those people there, some of them are a drain on the system. Well, if overall the city's making $2 a person after all things said and done, that's fine with the city as an organism. They're still making money off those people. So it's going to do whatever it can to survive. It'd be an interesting theory crafting to think about what New York City would turn into when it would fall apart.
Yeah. Speaking of organism, the endoplasmic reticulum just joined the chat.
What?
Mark's here.
Or maybe that's a cell. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. I forgot to
So
send
yeah,
you.
I don't know how we ended up from Grayman to
Well,
city states.
yeah, everything's connected. The idea of being a gray man doesn't necessarily apply to the rural farmer whose closest neighbor is 7 miles away. The gray man is a concept whose utility is truly realized for someone in an urban or suburban setting where there are people to notice and be noticed by. So it all kind of ties together.
Yeah, somebody put over here, cue the Everything is Awesome soundtrack. Yeah, that's not to get depressing, but maybe we need it. Well, we're up on an hour, Hobbs. Did we have anything else you wanted to hit on?
50 minutes. Don't even start with me.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes to go here. So let everybody know how the range project that you guys were working on. We got 10 minutes to kill, so let everybody know.
So we're a little bit at a standstill. I wouldn't say a standstill, but we're waiting on some water testing to come back, just so we can get the EPA to okay it to open it for public use. So our late March opening has been kind of postponed, but we're still looking at being open for the spring. We've got a meeting with some of the high brass for the National Guard coming up next week. We're going to a conference and going to be taking some video and some pamphlets down there to propose grabbing some of their training and doing that with them. We've done some really cool videos here lately. I don't have a lot of them up. I think I may have posted one on my Bearded Liberty page. But yeah, we're getting everything in place. We've got all our employees' bios in the making. We're getting those up on the website. We're redesigning the website over at lrrat.com. Probably about a month out on having the website finalized, but it's gonna be a cool website. Gonna offer some training videos. We're gonna be doing instructional videos probably on a weekly basis. If y'all don't know, I'm the director of marketing for them, so I've been really pushing with larger companies, getting their employees in on some training, real estate people, nurses, stuff like that, just trying to get everybody involved. We're going to be teaming up with Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. They shut the prison down about 10 years ago and opened up a brewery and a distillery there. But we're going to be doing some CQB training inside the prison. That's going to be fun. If anybody knows about Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, that's where James Earl Ray was held. So that's a pretty historical prison. It's got caves and coal mines all over the property. There's one way in and one way out, and there's more rattlesnakes there than anywhere in the world, pretty much. It's a wild area. But yeah, so we'll have some video coming out from there here real soon. So we got a lot of stuff coming. It's just getting everything together and getting in order. But I'm really looking forward to warmer weather.
Yeah, you ain't shitting, man. I don't know if you caught our Tuesday show, man, but like it got so cold here at the beginning of the week that neither one of our cars would start. So I had to walk to work in negative 26 degrees.
See, and it's crazy, man, because y'all know how Nashville is right now. Y'all know how Texas is, but Nashville was screwed. Sevierville, where Gatlinburg and Dollywood and stuff like that, if y'all have heard of that, it was screwed. And all these places are within 100 miles from where we live. It's been 50 degrees here.
Just on that edge.
I can drive 30 miles and be in a blizzard any direction in a 360 degree range, and it's 50 degrees here. It's the strangest thing ever.
Well,
even
weird.
just here in Nebraska, I drove over Hobbs Way a couple days ago for something, and geez, what was it? It was like 0 degrees there, and I drove here back home. It's about 4.5 hours away, and it was 30 to 40.
Yeah, I mean, it's cold right now, but it's 11 o'clock at night here. I mean, it's 31 degrees out right now. But today it was 54, I think.
Yeah. Global warming causes global cooling. I actually had somebody tell me that.
I can see it, man. It's the condensation.
I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat and say buzzwords like chemtrails and HARP. Weather
Yep,
modification.
we'll definitely get some new people in on the podcast if you post that as the title. Or the next one just needs to be labeled TikTok.
Lee Riley said it's called weather warfare. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
China's been putting shit in our atmosphere.
Alex Jones yesterday said he had a new bit of meme gold where he said, "I'm tired of them putting chemicals in the air that turns the snow gay." And it's 22, so that means the snow is racist. It's racist and gay.
Oh, God.
Good old AJ.
Love that guy.
We still have our win a shirt thing going on. So if you're hearing this on YouTube right now, just give our video a like or subscribe and mention in the comments which shirt of ours is your favorite on Rhodes and #2liberty.com, and we'll put you in the drawing at the end of the month for a free shirt. Same thing goes for if you're watching this on YouTube, here in the podcast, go like our most recent YouTube video, comment on what your favorite shirt is, and we'll put you in.
I'm gonna need y'all to send me a shirt.
It can be done.
Yes, it will be done.
That thing is awesome, man.
Which one, the Boot Girl?
Yeah.
It's a little.
Huh?
Version 2 is a little different than this one. Show yours, Hobbs. Can you show yours again? Show that sexy body of yours up there. There you go. So Boot Girl is holding the gun straight up. We had to change it so she's holding a little angled, so it brought the picture up more. But it's still a good looking shirt.
Hell yeah.
And it's centered a little better on the current version too.
I like it.
Boot Girl. You like it to the side? That's the Boot Girl shirt. You'll find that one on Rhodes and #2liberty.com.
Yep, it's a good one. It's made out of some really nice, comfortable material too.
Hell yeah.
And if it wasn't in the laundry, I wore the Build or Die Igloo shirt today too. That one's pretty cool.
Man, I hate that I dropped out on y'all last week because, man, I mean, this was a good show tonight, but last week, man, I wish I could have been on some of that conversation.
I'm gonna try and get a hold. You want me to get a hold of some of those guys?
I would love to do a show with them.
The Hibiscus Society and
absolutely. I want to go on live with them. And I want to say it before we end this one. And I say it a lot, but fuck Mike Dunn.
Yeah. Yeah. We should get him on the show. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. I hate that son of a bitch.
No, they weren't big fans of him either. So what was that guy that you mentioned in the show last week? And he's part of that group. Shit.
Magnus Panvidya.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk to that guy. So if anybody knows how to get in touch with him, so I tried to get on our Twitter page and send him a DM, and it said it's unable to accept DMs.
Yeah, it seems like he's kicked off everything. So I'll start doing some detective work to try and get. He'll probably think I'm a Fed or something, but I'll give it a try.
We're all Feds, man.
Yeah, everybody's a Fed.
Just drop links to the domestic terror white papers that were mentioned in, and be like, see, we're not Feds.
Yeah, what are you talking about? And you motherfuckers don't even know about this because y'all are new.
Right.
I've got the tattoo on my thigh to prove it.
Oh God, that guy. Whatever happened to the shit?
I'm sure he's still on actiontruthnet.com or whatever, actiontruth.net.
Whatever. Or like I'm a fed.net.
Oh man.
Yeah, I just went to his page, and his first link, he's interviewing Mike Dunn. So
yep.
There you go.
Whose page is that?
Your Action Truth buddy.
Oh, Pablo Ocola?
I don't know. But yeah, anyways. Go ahead and close her out, Hobbs? I think we.
All right, yeah. So thank you everybody for tuning in for our kind of meandering and rambling conversation on Grayman and city states and all sorts of other weird shit that we talked about tonight. It was fun.
Club.
Yeah, I should
Yeah.
get with Nathan. We should do another history podcast. I don't know, because he's a big history nerd. Talk about some history on the city state stuff.
Yeah, he'd probably be a person to talk to on that. But anyway, tonight's guest, of course, was Justin at Bearded Liberty. Go check his YouTube channel out, or lrrat.com. Of course, producer Ben up there in the top. Always good to have you. Always good to have you jump in anytime. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Please head on over to roads2liberty.com. Look us up on all your podcasting apps, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment your favorite shirt from our website, roads2liberty.com, and get yourself in a drawing for a free shirt. For me, Ben, Justin, Token's not here tonight, but for him too, and everybody else at Think Liberty Network, thank you for tuning in tonight, everybody, and have a fantastic evening.
Peace, fellas.